Well, hi everybody, welcome to week 3. This is where it all happens now. So we are going to immediately try raising our level of vibrational energy, our LOVE. So everybody get up, I will just find the music and get ready to booty. You all hear that? Super. All right, so hopefully you've all got a nice high vibe now. Anyway, as you guys start to settle, I'll just blather on for a wee bit. So we're going to be tying in what we've discussed in the last 2 weeks. So in week 1 we opened our map and we created our peaceful day. We decided where it was that we wanted to go. We saw it. We were calling in all the tools and advice from our Council of Avatars. And now we're going to intensify this whole experience. And this week is what we've been building up to. Excuse me. So the breathwork's going to begin with bringing our nervous system into the healing state, into our rest and digest mode. And as we learned, this is the safe state the body must be in before it can handle anything else. So just keeping you safe. And we are going to then calm ourselves down, get into the flow, and then we build on the experience, and we use our breath to enhance up into the realm of spirit. So we have been developing our awareness this last 2 weeks. And now we can hopefully travel beyond the false voice. You may have read about that in the course content. So moving beyond this false voice by enhancing our state with this bliss chemistry guided by our breath and opening up our subconscious to reprogramming. So as always, before we go any further, let's just check in with how we're all feeling. So just pop it in the chat there. It's always really interesting to compare, especially this week, how you feel at the end of the session compared to how you enter it. So just pop it in the chat. Yeah, great. Well, hopefully we'll all see some improvement after this session. So how did week 2 go for you? Did you manage to do your daily doses? Or any of the other homework? No worries if you didn't manage the other homework. I'm just opening up the floor to share, for you to share any experiences. If there's anything you want me to clarify, something you encountered, did you notice any of your thought viruses creeping in? If you did you notice that you were handling that a little better or noticing it a little faster? So would anybody like to open the floor and share? And just remembering that verbalizing can actually bring more out than you thought was in there, and also it might stimulate the thought process for somebody else and make everybody feel a bit more comfortable to share as well. Fabulous, and thank you all for sharing. So week 3 of this journey is usually when something really interesting begins to happen. So the breath stops feeling like a technique now, and it starts to really feel like a gateway. So it becomes like a doorway into different states of mind. Different emotional landscapes can open up, and sometimes even deeper questions about the consciousness itself will arise. I'm just going to have a quick pause to cough here, just a second. So, pardon me. We're exploring something that humans have been fascinated by for thousands of years, this idea that the body may contain its own natural elixir. Something that ancient traditions often referred to as the soma. So one of the earliest written references to this idea of the soma appears in the Rig Veda, which is an ancient collection of hymns from India dating back thousands of years, around 1500 BC, I think. And these texts mention Soma around 1,500 times. So it was a big theme. But no one really knows what it is. It was spoken about as a sacred nectar, or something that brought about vitality and inspiration and a sense of connection to the divine. And it's been assumed that Soma must have been some kind of ritual drink or a plant medicine or mushrooms, ayahuasca. No one actually knows. That's how big a secret it was, and still is, in fact. So the belief is that this substance ran out, and that the rishis, who were the spiritual guides, sought another way to enter this peak state. And they found something that you can generate within your own body. And we know that breath practices do reach back into ancient origins, and that breathwork traditions actually appear all over the world. So the ancient yogis used pranayama, which is a Sanskrit word for prana, meaning life force or breath, and yama, meaning control or regulation. So it's basically the control of the breath. Taoists used breath cultivation practices, Buddhism worked on breath awareness, and so on. So all different languages, different rituals, but the same discovery that the breath is one of the most direct levers that we have for shifting consciousness, aside from psychedelics, which we'll come to in a minute. So the founder of Soma Breath, Niraj Naik, you've probably heard his name by now, frequently mentions sex magic. So he talks about how the rush of chemicals flowing through the body after an orgasm creates this ultimate peak state for manifesting, that neuroplasticity is at a high point here, and it's perfect for imprinting these new beliefs and characteristics that we've been working towards and calling in with our week 2. So we already know that the body is truly remarkable. It's constantly producing neurochemistry that shapes how we experience life. Like we produce endorphins when we do too much exercise. Enough exercise. And this can reduce pain and create feelings of euphoria. We produce dopamine, which drives our motivation and our reward. We produce serotonin, which supports our mood and emotional balance. And we produce oxytocin, the love hormone, which deepens trust and connection. And of course, oxytocin is released in large doses when you orgasm. So breathwork can really boost all of these feel-good hormones. And so this boosts our neuroplasticity and therefore brain change. And when you add in the bliss pump, so you're squeezing the mula bandha with every inhale, then we get this bliss flowing around the body, and our experience of reality is constantly being shaped by this chemistry within us. And one of the fastest ways that we can influence that chemistry, you've guessed it, your breath. So thinking back now to our previous discussions, when we consciously change our breathing pattern, we influence several systems all at once. So we're influencing our carbon dioxide and our oxygen levels. And this affects our blood acidity, we're affecting our heart rate variability, our nervous system balance, very consciously affecting that. We're affecting our brainwaves, our brainwave patterns. So leading on from this, does anyone or has anyone here ever experienced any visual patterns or light or colours during their breathworks or meditations, maybe this last week? Anyone? You may not, and that's also completely normal. Yes, well, if you haven't yet seen any lights, you may well this week. But if you don't worry, it's not that you're doing it wrong. I mean, it manifests very differently for everybody, so don't be concerned that you're doing anything wrong. So why is it that we might be seeing these lights or colours, do you think? Well, some scientists hypothesize that DMT is produced by the pineal gland. And that's what the pineal gland's what the philosopher Descartes, if that's how you say it, he termed it the seat of the soul, and what he calls the spirit gland. And DMT is released during naturally occurring events in our life, including childbirth, the dying process. We can produce it in our dreams. And what is DMT? Well, it's dimethyltryptamine, and it is classified as a strong psychedelic drug. So, the pineal gland. It's about the size of a pea, and it sits sort of deep in the centre of your brain. And we know that it plays a role in producing melatonin, which really helps to regulate our sleep cycles and our circadian rhythms. But interestingly, many traditions also associate the pineal gland with experiences of inner light and clarity, expanded awareness, and activation of the third eye. And so as we're breathing and humming or umming or toning, we also stimulate this little gland. So physically, it may manifest as a little tingling sensation between your eyebrows. I often get that. Changes in your vision, increased foresight, and indeed these colours that you might hear people talking about. So the colour most often associated with the pineal gland of the third eye, anyway, third eye activation, is sort of purple or purpley blue. And oddly enough, that's exactly the colour assigned to this region in the chakra system. I'm not going to go into chakras because it's not my field, but just if you're interested, it is something that you could look into. So, where did we get to? The pineal gland and the third eye. Science is still sort of exploring exactly what produces these experiences. Is DMT considered the soma molecule? We'd like to think so, but no one actually knows, and there's not yet enough research to give any certainty or clarity to this subject. But I find it fascinating, actually, how ancient descriptions and modern observations so often overlap. The ancients certainly knew what they were doing, didn't they? And so then building on to this and moving into the 20th century, we have the psychiatrist Stanislav Grof, who was researching altered states of consciousness with psychedelic therapy until the use of psychedelics became illegal. So then he continued exploring how to create similar states using breathwork alone. And his work suggests that specific breathing patterns can guide people into deeply therapeutic and sometimes mystical experiences, which is hopefully something you're going to encounter today. So again, tying our conversations from last week, we touched on the texts of Timothy Leary and Robert Anton Wilson, and they explored the idea that the brain may contain multiple circuits of consciousness, and that much of our everyday life runs through the survival circuits, which are the first 4 circuits, I believe. And they touch on the fact also that practices like meditation, breathwork, sound, therapy, music, and deep contemplation, and so on, can activate other states that are associated with creativity, empathy, and expanded perception and profound well-being. So what we're going to be doing with this practice is we're going to be guiding our nervous system through a little journey of states. So first we're activating the system, bringing in the high vibe through dancing and movement. And we start to get the energy moving. We start to bring the mind into being more alert. And then we bring calm it all back down. and we build up the breath towards samadhi, which is the breathless state, as they say. And this is a state where the mind and the body can drift. This is when the breath spontaneously pauses without effort. No holding, no breathing in or out, just stillness, quiet. Oh, it's bliss, bliss. Hopefully you'll all experience that today. Yeah, and sometimes these experiences are described as windows into our expanded awareness. And so there's a wee bit about how and why we can achieve rewiring ourselves. So just recapping, we focused on our peaceful day, we've called in the traits that we need to achieve this, and now we're going to create the conditions in our bodies to allow us to imprint what we're calling in, allowing us to rewrite, recreate, change past imprints to the better ones that we've chosen that will serve us better. Oh, and in fact, Cambridge University have done a study on this 21-day journey that you're on right now, and they've concluded that this 21-day journey activates the same parts of the brain as psychedelic drugs, and that we can create a reprogrammable state, brain state. Oh, sorry, I think I'm going to sneeze. So, something that I find incredibly fascinating is that none of these states are being given to you. They're not coming from outside. They're emerging from the intelligence of your own nervous system, your breath, your awareness, your body. So do trust in the process. It's all inside of you. Oh dear. Sorry about that. So that's enough about me. So now let's talk about... Oh gosh, enough about me. Sorry, I'm not very well. Enough from me. So now we're going to just talk about the breath practice itself right now. As I've said, the practice we're about to move into, it becomes quite dynamic. So we're going to take, like I said, our nervous system on a little journey from safety to flow, and then we're going to be excited. And it's all about creating the conditions where the body can explore these euphoric states safely. And it's such a powerful practice. And usually we don't encourage this practice more than once a week, but this is a very specialised and guided journey, and you've been building up to it over this last 2 weeks, and your body is prepared. So you can do this every day for a week, and it will seriously change things up in your life. And remember that you have full control at all times. If you are feeling any discomfort that you can't handle, then please just slow your breathing down until the comfort dissipates, and then continue if you feel up to it. And I encourage you to move your body with your breath, move your soma, explore what feels good for you. Moving is going to assist the movement of the energy, and remember to use your bliss pump, pulsing your pelvic floor with the inhales to further enhance the distribution of this energy as you're breathing in. It's also exciting. So yes, we're going to be breathing at this faster pace towards the end. So effectively you're going to be hyperventilating for a short while. And for many people this can actually sometimes feel a bit uncomfortable for your nose. It gets a bit irritated. So in this instance you might hear Niraj suggest breathing through your mouth for this rapid breath pattern. And this is okay as it's for a short amount of time, but as you know, we always try to encourage nose breathing, so breathe through your nose if you can. But if it's uncomfortable, feel free to do these short breaths through your mouth. And again, you are going to be changing your physiology as you are going to be exhaling a lot of carbon dioxide. So you may experience something that's called tetany, which is essentially just muscle contraction. Most commonly it manifests in your hands. So you might find that your hands curling. Please know that this is quite normal. It might be a little uncomfortable. It can also manifest as a little bit of numbness in the mouth area, or maybe slight tension in your head. So please know that this fast breathing is for a short spell, and it will pass if it happens at all. It might not. I just want you to be aware that it could. And if you just cannot bear it, just slow your breath down. Try to relax and go with it, but if it becomes too strong for you, just slow your breath right back down. This is your journey. And as you are all experienced sobies now, you will actually find that there's a lot less guidance during the breath retention phases this week. So feel into your soma now and follow your own flow. And always, of course, pushing beyond the comfort zone for the breath holds. So if you find yourself still holding your breath while Niraj starts up his next round, don't worry about that. Just exhale and then join in with the breathing again. But you are, for the breath retentions, you're going to be left to your own devices now and just follow your own journey for this one. So, does anyone have any questions? Okay, well, if you need a little pee break, now's the time. This session's going to be an hour long. So get yourselves settled and comfortable in a safe space. Lying down. I would recommend lying down, but if you're sitting up, please make sure that you are in a safe space should you happen to drift off. Make sure there's no sharp edges or anything near you. And make sure that you're somewhere where you're not going to be disturbed, nor indeed will you disturb someone else who might come and check that you're okay, because this week you're actively encouraged to make more noises with your exhales. You're going to deepen the stimulation of your vagus nerve and all the master glands, so you will be making a bit more noise, so make sure you're somewhere where you're not going to be disturbed or disturb. And I encourage you to approach your breath with curiosity, because sometimes the greatest discoveries are not the things that you learn, they're the things that you remember, that your body remembers. So, without further ado, get yourself all settled in, maybe with a blanket. I fully recommend the headphones this week. I think it's almost essential this week. Eye mask if you want, but just make sure that you're comfortable. Comfort is key here. And I will start the meditation, and I'll see you in about an hour. Enjoy.
Sit comfortably in an upright position with your back straight where you will not be disturbed. Sitting up will help you use the energy locks that will help you harness the power of the Mula Bandha and these energy locks for further activating the hormonal centers that will help you witness the white light of creation, the white light of your third eye activation. You can also do this lying down if that is more comfortable, and also whilst lying down you can also use the energy locks, but you may not be able to apply the neck lock. So when you're lying down, the idea is just to be extremely still and comfortable and just go with the flow of the breath and the music without any discomfort. That's right. Let's begin.
Okay, and gently bringing your awareness back into the room, maybe wiggling your toes, wiggling your fingers, just swaying your body side to side, bringing sensation back into your body, Taking a deep breath and opening your eyes. And do take your time. This has been quite a big experience, this one. Just take a moment now to notice how you're feeling. So what we have explored today, well, it isn't anything mystical that only a few people can access. It's a natural capacity of the human nervous system. You know, your breath is always with you, and with it you have the ability to shift your state whenever you need to. Calm down, bring more energy, and you can change your chemistry, you can change your awareness. You have all these tools now. So the ancient traditions spoke about a nectar of life, and modern science speaks about neurochemistry and nervous system regulation. So it's just different languages pointing towards the same human discovery that's within each one of us. And there's a remarkable intelligence quietly just waiting to be remembered. And sometimes all it takes to access it is your breath. So, would anybody like to share? No, maybe just happy sitting in your own bliss there. Well, maybe just pop in the chat how you're feeling. 1 to 10, 1 maybe being a bit grim, 10 being completely blissed out. Just pop it in the chat. And just remember that this is your safe space to share. But I completely, I get it. If you just prefer to rest in your own bliss right now, maybe after this call's finished, just jot it in your journal and we can chat about it next week in our wrap-up call. All right. Well, while you guys are just settling into your bliss, I'll just talk about your week this week. So you have access to a couple of meditations. You've got the Journey into the White Light, which you've just finished. You've just enjoyed, I hope. And if you find that you don't have an hour each day to do this meditation, you also have access to a shorter, I think it's 35 minute practice. So do remember that this is a very powerful practice. And usually we don't encourage this practice more than once a week. But like I said, for this very specialised and guided journey that you have been building your body up to, and you are prepared for this. So doing it every day this week is going to hopefully bring some amazing changes to your life. I still encourage you to journal. Note down any experiences or insights that you have after you've done these meditations. Anything that has come up for you during the meditation, just jot it down afterwards. You are actually really opening up to your unconscious mind now. Jot it all down. It may not seem relevant immediately, but you will find it quite interesting to refer back to further down the line. So that's it from me. If any of you have any questions, carry on. Otherwise, enjoy the practice. Again, if you're running into any issues, you've got anything that you want to know or ask or clarify, pop it into the community chat. And again, you can contact me if you need to. So enjoy this week. Enjoy the transformation. It's a wonderful week. And I will see you next week. Bye, everybody. Bye.